It's Wendy Snyder in for Bob Sirott again this morning. Bob returns on Wednesday. In the meantime, we go live to Joseph Lindsley. He is editor of Ukrainian Freedom News. And Joseph, the reports we're hearing here in the United States are all about Ukraine's counteroffensive. So here's what we have with Reuters reporting right now. Just 3 hours ago, Ukraine says it recaptured Fourth Village in a counteroffensive. What's true, what is not?
Well, Wendy, good afternoon from a chilly day here in Lviv. In these all of this action that we're talking about now is in these wild rolling fields of Zaporizhia and Donetsk in southeastern Ukraine, that ancient homeland of the Cossacks. And the Ukrainians have said, and we've seen videos and photographs of Ukrainian soldiers with Ukrainian flags in 4 villages, and just really they've made, it seems, about 5 kilometers, so just a few miles of progress. And if you look at where the front line has been, it's about 90 kilometers from this point to the sea. So that 90 kilometers of territory occupied by Russia. But Ukrainians have made, so it's a small incursion, but it's the Russian. We have to note that the Russian Telegram channels are saying that they've, that it's ongoing, that they're pushing back against this. There's a counteroffensive. There's a lot of information swirling around. But surely there has been some Ukrainian small steps of success down south. But I think, as always, there could be a lot of other activity that we don't know about. Of course, that's the nature of this, and many things must be secret. And meanwhile, I think the big topic on everyone's minds here, it's a heaviness, is the flood caused by the Russian destruction of that dam in the Russian-controlled territory of Ukraine. And what I've heard, the hospitals have been overwhelmed. Think about it. But the hospitals have already seen so much, but the scale of that flood is so massive, and the scale is not just the results are gonna be seen. I think far into the future. The ecological destruction is terrible. That is such a fertile area that has provided food for so much of the world, and there's a lot of frustration that as we talked about last week, that media and politicians. Many of them are not clear. They say, "Oh, we don't know who caused this." And Ukrainian ambassador to the United States, Oksana Makarova, she posted on Facebook today, reminding the world that in 1932 and 33, when Stalin was leading Soviet Russia, there was a famine imposed upon Ukraine, and it killed anywhere from 3.5 to 5 million Ukrainians. And Stalin was taking away their land to create his process of collectivization of agriculture. And it was an absolute disaster. And there was a New York Times correspondent, Walter Durante. He was based in Moscow, and he reported on the wonderful harvest that were happening here. He basically became and we don't know what his motive was, but he became an agent of Stalin in his writing. He won the Pulitzer Prize for these reports that now everyone knows to be false, that there was such a bountiful harvest during the very time when Stalin had imposed a famine on Ukraine. And so people are referring back to those stories, where, the fake news of 1932 and 33 in regard to the situation here today. But on the other hand, there's always great positive stories. And I've heard so many reports, Wendy, that the roads going down to Kherson, there have been traffic jams of people going to help. People from Ukrainians and foreign volunteers. I know so many people that have made efforts to help in different ways. And so, that is, the society is responding, and the world, everyone who's here helping, responding so swiftly. As the waters go down, of course, there's a lot of fear about, what are we going to see? How bad is the damage underneath? And there's an extraordinary video I saw of a woman, an older woman who lived, her village had been under Russian occupation for almost the entire full-scale war. And she was evacuated by Ukrainians. They took advantage, they used the waters they could go into her village that was mainly underwater. They got her out of there, and her house is gone. But the first thing she told the rescuers, "I'm home," because she was back in freedom. So she's lost everything. And even though her actual home, probably it's been her family's land for centuries, she said, "I'm home," because she was back in the hands of free people. And I think that shows you really the difference between the two sides here.
Absolutely. And I mentioned when we were trying to reconnect this morning that as the waters recede, you mentioned, what they're going to find underneath, but also disease and mold. There's a lot of things that are going to be a result of this.
Yeah, and this more and more. I mean, these all
I think we've lost
exactly,
him.
Wendy. And this show, I mean, and Russia also in Donetsk, we have reports that. Oh, sorry, Wendy.
No, we got you. We got you. Go ahead. Reports in Donetsk.
Oh, great. A much smaller dam was destroyed by the Russians, and this is, I mean, they've used this tactic before. And it does. I mean, it creates a lot of damage. It creates. I mean, people are feeling the psychological effect, but no one's leaving. As I've said, people are rushing to help. But it really taxes Ukraine's resources, and that's why it's so valuable. There's so many people here helping out from around the world, because as Ukraine is pushing in its counteroffensive, they need every resource they can muster. And it also seems that the Russians are trying to make this, the ground difficult to pass, using this strategy of dam destruction. And very strangely, maybe not so strange, on May 30th, Russian in the Kremlin the Duma of Russia passed a law saying that all investigations of accidents at industrial and hydroelectric sites will be postponed until January 1st, 2028. In parts of Ukraine that they have claimed for themselves. And so clear, I mean, it's pretty clear what's up here. But I think as we look at what's going to unfold this week, I mean, the closer Ukraine gets to some major success, and if this to the extent that this counteroffensive will be successful, I think, of course, we're going to see Russia using whatever cards it has remaining to scare people,
yes,
and to
definitely
try to attack Ukrainian resources.
We will keep our eyes on that. And thank you for being our eyes and ears and everything else live from Ukraine. Joseph Lindsley, have a safe night.
Thank you, Wendy. Until tomorrow.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important, that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Що сказав?
Well, which side are you on?
На чиїй ти стороні?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чиїй ти стороні?
Єбать.